I'm Lisa K. Donner, along with Andrew Moran, Sarah Calgill, James Fight, and Jeff Charles. And this is the Conservative Five, Liberty Nation's online TV news program. It's no state secret that former President Donald Trump has taken up permanent residence in the heads of Democrats. It's comical. It's a head scratcher. After all, the man lost in 2020. But of late, the rants and raves on the left have turned into a downright desperate demand to bring back the life of the man they took out. Well, our very own senior political analyst, Tim Donner, asked the same question and artfully answered it in a piece published on Liberty Nation this week. Tim opined, quote, "The left has adopted a strategy of scaring Republicans about a president they support in overwhelming numbers, which signals nothing less than abject desperation," unquote. It begs the question, is a rehash of Trump going to save the midterm elections for Democrats? Sarah, girl, you have been involved in national elections in a former life. What kind of strategy is going on here? And most of all, will it work?
It worked in 2020. We saw 3 years of negative campaigning against a guy that they were terrified of, and it worked. It worked like a charm. Problem is, unless he declares or unless he's backing a lot of candidates and coming out and speaking about it, it won't work because he's non-existent. So, the thing with the Democrats are they don't have a message. If they can't run on the economy, they can't run on COVID, they can't run on their military intelligence. They have no platform. They don't have a message. And until they get one, they got to keep rehashing Trump. Problem is, Trump might not be around. We don't know what's going to happen there.
Well, that's a good point. But Jeff, you have good instincts on political moves. Why the constant resurrection of a guy that they hate? You think he's gone, we're done, move on. But it's like they can't move on.
It's funny, Lisa, because I think that there are some Democrats who are starting to get it. I actually wrote a piece about this recently for LibertyNation.com, and it was Governor Roy Cooper, governor of North Carolina, who was cautioning against Trump derangement syndrome. And he's a Democrat, and he's saying, guys, we can't focus on Trump like we've been doing. It's not going to work. However, it's not going to happen. They are going to focus on Trump for two reasons. One, they just can't help themselves. They can't help themselves. President Trump is like crack for these people. They can't quit him. So that's reason number one. Reason number two, Sarah already said it. They don't have anything to run on. Nothing. Why do you think they keep pushing this whole January 6th thing? That's all they have. All they have is January 6th and Trump. They have nothing to run on. They have no victories. They have done nothing. Biden's presidency has been an utter disaster and an utter failure already. So yeah, they're going to try it. And honestly, I would disagree with Sarah on this. No matter what Trump does, it's not going to work because they've already dug their grave.
I think in addition also to the fact that they have nothing else to work on, every time they speak, they embarrass themselves. This whole, for instance, I think it was Tim, he wrote about the Hispanic red wave. Why is this happening? Because the Democrats, they use these things like Latinx terminology, or, just the other day, Nancy Pelosi was talking about, politicians can trade stocks and profit off of all the private information we get because it's a free market economy. So not just President Biden, but every Democrat just blunders and gaffes like the commander-in-chief. So I think in addition, not having nothing else to run on, they just embarrass themselves. So they have to, lean on Trump to bail them out.
Jim, do we have a situation of fear of Orange Man? I mean, is it fear that's stoking this fire?
That's exactly what it is. You asked the question, why does Trump keep coming back? Not that Trump himself is actually constantly coming back, but they keep resurrecting him. I mean, why did the creators of dozens of movies continue to resurrect Jason Voorhees or oh man, what's the Freddy, Nightmare on Elm Street?
Krueger?
Halloween,
yeah.
Michael Myers.
And Chucky too. He's got a TV series.
Okay,
Right.
You got me confused. Who are we talking about?
I don't know. I'm lost.
Trump, the ultimate boogeyman for the Democrats.
Yes.
He is scary. And why is he scary? I mean, he came out of nowhere. He got in on this establishment game, which you weren't supposed to do to begin with. Then he made all these crazy radical promises and actually tried to keep them. That right there, I think, is the most terrifying thing to establishment politicians, regardless of the letter by their name, because it completely overthrows this idea that you can just make whatever promises you want to get elected, and then who cares? I mean, Trump, and then on top of all of that, he was actually fairly successful as president. I mean, that's a cherry on top, right? So, Trump is the ultimate boogeyman for the Democrats. And if, like everyone else has said, they don't really have anything else to run on, all they can do is fearmonger at this point, to try to get those Democrat voters out to the polls to make sure that Orange Man Bad doesn't win again if he runs. But even if he doesn't, oh, well, we can't have another Trump.
Sarah, can you win by running against, just keep on running against Trump? We have to assume that he's going to run. I mean, all the signs are there.
Probably. I think it would be a lot closer than we thought it was, in the 2020, simply because they got in and they've been just a horrifying disaster. So people are going, maybe I should have voted for Trump. Oops, I don't know. So you've got, I don't know. I think midterms are going to tell us a big story, and they're probably going to lay the groundwork for whether or not, he comes back full force for 2024. It's a battle I don't think I want to take on, honestly.
Jeff, it seems like this Build Back Better thing is getting a more and more hollow ring. It's as if you're hearing the bell outside by the Salvation Army guy, hollow, very hollow, empty kettle.
I mean, at this point, it's like Build Back Busted. I mean, this isn't going anywhere. I mean, they may be able to get something done next year, but I mean, they're trying to say that they were going to get it done by the end of this year. Well, now they're kind of admitting that that's not going to happen. I think if this thing does pass, it's going to be so watered down that it's not even going to matter, because they had to cut a lot from it. They had to take a chainsaw to this thing. So, and even then, they're having trouble getting it passed. So I don't know if this is going to go anywhere. And even if it does, I don't know if it'll do so in time to dig the Democrats out of this hole that they're in.
Plus, they keep lying about the Build Back Better, too. They keep lying about the costs involved with it. Not only did the price tag go down, but also how to pay for it. Biden, over the summer, he says it's going to cost taxpayers nothing. CBO comes out and says, oh, yeah, it's going to cost about $200 billion extra. And then the CBO came out, which Tim also reported on recently. They said that if all the sunsets clauses were eliminated and they were made permanent, it would add about $3 trillion to the deficit. So anyone worried about the federal budget or the national debt, which I guess these days nobody really cares about anymore, that would hurt the voters too. So of course, once again, that's why they try to distract from that issue and go to Trump, who wasn't necessarily fiscally conservative either. Let's be honest with that.
Did you say, Jim?
Oh, I said I care. Sometimes I wonder if I'm the only person that cares about the national debt, but I care.
Well, as Sarah said, there are many ways to win an election. Candidates can create they can project a positive, realistic, and forward-looking vision. Supposedly, that's what Build Back Better was, but that just doesn't seem to be occurring. But the opposite is true. Negative campaigns are more often conducted by candidates who have no message and platform. Maybe that's where the Democrats are going to go. I don't know. But that signals desperation. Voters can sense weakness, which brings defeat. They can kind of smell it. So we'll see in due time what will prevail in 2022. Thanks, panel. And that's it for our Conservative 5 panel today. Check out our other C5 shows and segments on your favorite video platform, YouTube, Vimeo, Rumble. We're on them all. As well, Liberty Nation has its own Roku channel where you can see all of our TV productions. Thanks so much for tuning in. And remember to surf on over to libertynation.com. Sign up for our new member zone. We're running a special this Christmas, just $6 for 6 months. Special thanks to our fantastic editor and post coordinator, Frank Diorio, and our executive producer, Sarah Cowgill. I'm Lisa K. Donner, editor-in-chief. Thanks for joining us today. This has been a production of libertynation.com, where truth is making a comeback.